first of all, we have the constitutional change of Niger, right? For third world president, third-term president, and military coup. Okay, AU, African Union, said all this change of constitutional terms is not going to be accepted. So, but we have a new one. We have another African country just recently changed the constitution again. So which country is this one? Wang Yixiang. Have you followed the news at all? No? Anybody know that there is another African country just changed the constitution again? Which means 大人在讲话，小孩子还没有在听哦。AU is saying that we're not going to accept this. And this little country used to be called French Somalia. No. Somalia is Italian Somalia. Somaliland is British Somalia. And the French Somalia is? Maybe I should bring my African map here. The only country in Africa with American military base. You know, Americans are not like in Africa. Not just Africans don't like them, the French do not like Americans. French said, this is my backyard. Okay, no one should touch it. So, America is in this country. This is a country called Djibouti. How do we write this one? Why do I have lock it off? Okay, that's the country, Djibouti. So you would think nobody will do that again, right? But another country just changed the constitution. So the president can run for the third term. Okay, called Djibouti. In Africa, AU, remember this AU said, we will not accept military coup. We will not accept constitutional change. People just, this is what I think my mom always said about me, not listening to her. 把我的话当耳边风. Okay, I think that's what the Djibouti is taking AU's word as, you know, whispers or winds by the ears. Do not care at all. Okay? And since we are talking about some of the issues we have discussed, how many of you know what happened last week at Washington, D.C.? Washington, D.C., something happened there. 丹祖文, Obama and some leaders talk about the nuclear-free world, or at least we call reduction of nuclear weapons, right? Now, interestingly, 47 countries or 46 countries are invited. Now, 46 countries, you will think, what kind of country should be invited?
Like the G8, all of them.
Okay, all those important big guys.
And, well, it's maybe like some countries in the EU.
EU, okay, some EU countries, okay.
And, well, some country in the Middle East, but Israel was not
Israel was invited, but
they weren't there.
Yeah, Israel was invited. The president didn't go. The prime minister didn't go, but someone else did, okay? Now, we have the countries with nuclear weapons. Don't you think they should be invited? Of course, right? And then also countries signing the NPT we call the Non-Proliferation Treaty, 核不扩散条约 Non-Proliferation. Okay, NPT. Only a few countries didn't sign this one. Okay. Only a few countries. What countries that have weapons, nuclear weapons, but didn't sign this non-proliferation treaty?
Iran and North Korea.
Iran is a member. Iran is a member of NPT. Is a signatory. Is a signatory. Iran is a signatory of NPT. North Korea used to be, not anymore. Pakistan didn't sign. Okay, Pakistan, most people recognize Pakistan as a nuclear weapon country. Country with nuclear weapon. Pakistan didn't sign. India didn't sign. Israel. Okay, those three didn't sign, but they were invited and they went. Okay, India and Pakistan. Of course, President Obama said, I will receive you, right? Individually, they have separate meeting. So we have the big five. You all know the big five. Plus those three, Israel, Pakistan, and India. So 8 nuclear weapon countries. They all went. Okay, I think that's understandable. And then some countries, European countries, important enough, like Northern European country. They're all peace-loving, right? So they were invited. And some big countries like Canada, Australia, New Zealand, okay, fine. Some countries potentially might have weapons, like Brazil, Argentina, or big countries in Africa, like South Africa and Nigeria, were invited. But my question for you is, why Southeast Asian countries are invited? Like Philippines, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, and Vietnam. Interestingly, those 6 countries were invited. Okay. Now, but not a single Balkan country was invited. Okay, if we said we do not want nuclear weapons falling into the hands of the terrorists, right? So then you should invite Saudi Arabia, okay? You should invite Syria. You should invite some African countries like Libya, maybe. But Libya, Syria were not invited, okay? Yet they invited Tunisia. No, not Tunisia. I'm sorry, Morocco, Algeria, and Egypt. So just give me a lot of puzzles here. But the big question I have is for our last assignment. They actually invited Georgia and Armenia. Now, why Georgia and Armenia? But not Azerbaijan. Strangely, if you want to invite the former Soviet Union countries, right? They invited Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan is a big one in the Central Asia. Of course, you need to invite it. Why? They have a lot of nuclear material during the Soviet Union days. They also invited Ukraine. Ukraine has a lot of, enriched uranium as well. So the storage, the safety, the security of those material, you invited those two, no problem. But why Armenia and Turkey? Armenia, Georgia, but not Azerbaijan. And then we realized Turkish Prime Minister and Armenian President had a side meeting. Wow. Obama used this nuclear security summit to allow Armenia and Turkey to meet. And then you have the American Congress said, Turkey, you committed genocide. There's something interesting here, right? Remember, I gave you one article. It's about earlier they have reconciled. And they said maybe this year they will get Nobel Peace Prize. By the way, Obama just heard our criticism, from my class last semester, we taught about, he doesn't deserve to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. He said, okay, NTHU student criticized me. Okay, I'm going to hold a summit. That's the reason he held the summit last week. Because he heard that NTHU student not very happy with his reception of the prize. So he at least delivered. Okay, now it looked like okay, right? Nobel Prize said, he tried to promote a nuclear-free world. So they gave him the prize, and then at least I think he met the expectation of the search committee. Don't you think? Do you think he at least answered that criticism? Okay, so we don't know what happened there. I was not able to find out the detail of the meeting. But Turkey and Armenia, on the one hand, you have some overseas American Armenians, right, pushing American Congress to say this is genocide. And on the other hand, the Armenians in Armenia is trying to work out a reconciliation with Turkey so their economy will not be landlocked. So never trust those. Sometimes the same thing in Taiwan. We have a lot of overseas Taiwanese in the United States, very passionate about Taiwan independence. And then they came back to Taiwan hometown and found out what happened here. Not a lot of, excitement about Taiwan independence. But it's all in the overseas Taiwanese community. Okay, the same thing with Armenian in the United States. Very passionate about the genocide of Turkey. But some Armenians in Armenia said, but we have to deal with them. We want, to have a better economy. So this is not going to help. Okay, but still, my question is, why no Azerbaijan? Why no Azerbaijan? 苏星鹤，苏星鹤有在吗？ Why not Azerbaijan? 为什么 Why Georgia and Armenia? Do you know why? Those three countries always go together, right? Okay. What about Taiwan? Why are we not invited? Political reasons? But don't you think we should be invited?
Yeah, we still have capability to produce nuclear weapons.
Ooh, okay. So, but don't you think what we need to do right now? At least we should use this opportunity to project Taiwan as a peace-loving country, right? We said Taiwan Strait is a nuclear-free zone. How about that? 台湾海峡是非核自由。Well, but that's nuclear power plant. I'm going to talk about nuclear free means nuclear weapon free, and we don't want nuclear war with China, right? So that's a good thing to say. Taiwan, just say we renounce the first use of nuclear weapon. How about that one? 我们放弃首先使用核武。Oh, you have weapons. I don't think we have, but why don't we do that? Most of the country in the world, including China, China said China already renounced. We will not use nuclear weapon first, right? American didn't do that. Okay, Americans said we renounce the use of nuclear weapons against non-nuclear country. So if we, by the way, don't say we have nuclear weapon because if we say it, American can actually attack us. Okay.
I say we have. I say we have capability.
Okay, capability. Okay, so we don't have. But then if we use chemical weapons, biological weapons against the United States will not use nuclear weapon to reprisal, for reprisal. 不会报复. So if we don't have nuclear weapons, so at least we can do one thing is no first use, or announce that Taiwan Strait is a nuclear-free zone. Like Africa, they did that. Latin America, they did that. Okay, so Australia and New Zealand, they also did that. So some countries in some regions said nuclear-free zone. Means we don't want nuclear weapon. Okay. Any question on this? We still don't have the answer about Azerbaijan, huh? I'm going to write a book about that one. I'm going to, get some funding to go Washington, D.C. and check with all these people who work for Obama government, saying, how do you come up with the list? Why Spain? Why no Portugal? Why not Portugal? Why Portugal was not invited? Why not a single Balkan country? Oh, they said, yes, they do. They have one Balkan country. Which one? They don't have Serbia. They don't have Greece. They don't have Croatia, Macedonia, Kosovo. Not a single. But they have one Balkan country. Turkey. Because Turkey has a little piece called Constantinople or Istanbul on Balkan. 土耳其不是有一小块一个伊斯坦堡在欧洲，所以欧洲这个巴尔干被土耳其代表了。OK， 他们就这么小一块，就有点像我们跟大陆有一块金门一样。OK， so but we don't know why. So how do they come up with this list, right? Why inviting Morocco, not Libya? I mean, Libya has the biggest potential for developing nuclear weapons, right? And how about Afghanistan? So many terrorists there, right? They should do that. Okay, let's look at this article, final article on Chechen or Chechnya, the Chechen challenge. 王大中。Okay. Uh-huh.
The Chechen rebel leader.
Oh, what happened to this one? Let me go to this. Sorry, I have to do this. This one is not good because they somehow cannot print everything. So let me go. I'm sorry. Okay, just a second. Because if you use the printing one, they will look lost. Okay. Chechen rebel leader. Okay. Umarov.
Chechen rebel leader Doko Umarov's declaration that he ordered the Moscow metro bombings has again raised questions over the Kremlin's Chechenization policy. The term often given by analysts, the Moscow's partial transfer of control over the republic to local allies.
Okay, Chechenization instead of what? What's the opposite of Chechenization? Remember we talked about that. Russification. Remember that word? Russification? Trying to make Chechnya, part of really Russia. Now, Chechenization is similar to a process in Taiwan under Jiang Jingguo. What do we call? In the 1970s, the KMT felt that it was having problem with legitimacy, needs to recruit local elites to work in the government so that it doesn't look like a mainlander government only. We call it Taiwanization, 本土化, Taiwan, Taiwanization, right? Localization, Taiwanization. So here, Chechenization is the same idea. You cannot just send people look like Russian to Chechnya, right? You have to use people look like local people. So you find your local allies. But here, Umarov, the rebel leader, said, hey, we did it. So what do? It's almost like you have introduced a policy of using the local elite. You're hoping, what does Russia hope for when they have this policy of Chechenization? Mr. Wang, what do you think?
Kind of tranquility.
Tranquility. Oh, saying this is almost like we call appeasement. Not appeasement. It's almost like trying to appeal to the local, saying, your own people are in charge right now, right? So hopefully this will be end of the conflict. You don't have to fight for autonomy or secession. Remember that word, secession.
But Russia still control.
But Russia's still control. But hey, it's Russia's puppet, right? Or Russia's allies taking control. So you have that policy. You hope there will be peace, but they are still against it. So you have to change policy now. So it challenge, right? Raise question about this policy of Chechenization. Liu Yourui. Yeah, next.
Ramzan Kadyrov, the controversial ex-rebel who has enjoyed Moscow's backing since coming to power as Chechen president in 2007, condemned the bombers in language similar to Russian Prime Minister Vladimir Putin's pledge to scrape them off the bottom of the sewer.
Oh, okay. So here, bomber. Okay, no B, right? Bomber. That's how you pronounce. Okay. Now, the Chechenian president Kadyrov. Here he said he is using the same language as Vladimir Putin. Scrape them off the bottom of the sewer. It's almost like attacking the terrorists as what? In Chinese, what would we say? 我们要把这些人渣给处理掉 right? It's almost like, at the bottom of the sewer, 在这个下水道的，这应该叫什么？深阴沟里啊，什么？ Okay, so that's how I think how we describe, right? This is how they challenge. But he's pretty good in trying to repeat the same word as his master, Vladimir Putin, using the same word. Okay, Xu Tongli.
Terrorists should be sought and found in their lairs, he wrote in an opinion piece published by Russia's Vestia newspaper.
It's Vestia newspaper. Okay, continue.
They should be poisoned like rats, crushed and destroyed.
Okay, a layer. What do you mean by layer? What do they find in their layer? It's like den, D-E-N. 巢穴. Okay, so basically, 巢都是negative. Is that really negative? When you talk about like 梁山伯, no, I'm not talking about 梁山伯祝英台. I'm talking about Song Dynasty 梁山伯. 梁山伯是什么？也是梁山伯吧？我有没有念错？没有。OK， yeah， 水浒传的。OK， so 老巢，right？ 巢穴。OK， that's how you try to get them out, and then what do they do? Poison like rats. Ooh. Crush and destroyed. Okay. Rats are pretty smart. Okay, it's not easy to be destroyed. Okay, first of all, for example, when I first came back to Taiwan, I found out, wow, my parents' apartment have rats. So what do? You put up some sticky things. Do you remember those sticky things? You put there, the passage that they're going to go through there. The next morning, I found out it's, that sticky thing. It's like a made of wood with some glue on top. This little rat, such a smart rat, just picking off all the wood and put it on top of the glue. So next time around, it's not going to be sticky. 它咬碎了好多木头，然后堆在那个胶上面。They've been smarter than me. I stepped myself right on that sticky things. The little rats know what to do. 它会预防哦。Gosh, that's one. Okay, that's my experience. The only time I ever killed a rat when I was trying to kill this, or at least trying to get this rat when I was on top, sitting on top of a chair, right? And then, the rat came. I just kind of shocked a little bit. The chair's leg go up and then down, and just happened at the right times, So I caught a rat. Okay, but so difficult. Crush and destroy. But then I have friends who do biological study. I think that's the reason she didn't get married, because she poisoned rats. So she do, dissection of rats. Like every year she will, because of experiment, she probably will kill 300 rats. Okay? No, you don't call rats, you call mouse, right? Mice. I think little one you call mice. But anyway, so a lot of people have problem with rats.
What's that to do with her marriage?
Well, people probably, I think her boyfriend might worry that he might be dissected. Huh? That she is so good with operating the knives. I'm not sure. No, I'm just guessing. I'm just guessing. When a woman is so good with operation dissecting, I think some boys probably get scared. Huh? Okay. 谢宗浩有在吗？蔡伟林 ，OK。Okay, so here, fierce declaration of loyalty to the Russian state. Okay, so this you have to show that I am loyal to the Russian central government, and also I am in charge. Otherwise, the Russians say, "Hey, what happened? We put you there, in charge, and now this is what you pay in return, allowing terrorists." Right, so here he has to show he is loyal, and then he's in charge. So he said he didn't want to speculate about where the trail might lead. Means you don't know what's going to happen. More terrorist attack or not, he doesn't know. But he said prefer to allow the federal investigator to do their work. This is what I think anyone who is under the power of, you're working for a central government, but people consider you a traitor, then it's difficult. Okay, you have to show your loyalty to the central government, otherwise you're going to be removed. But if you're so loyal to the central government, the local people might rebel against you. So very difficult for Kadyrov. Okay, next one, Zheng Fang. Ingushita. First of all, what is ASA, do you know? Also known as. Oh, I'm sorry, IKA, I'm sorry. Also known as. So, for example, do we have someone who has another name or being known as something?
James Bond.
Huh?
James Bond.
James Bond is always said, my name is Bond. James Bond.
007.
007.
代号.
No, I'm a different name. For example, 金庸, 查良镛, okay. Okay, so that's probably also known as. Okay, but I don't think 007. You know, this is a strange spy. Never hide his name. And I always told people I want martini straight up and not stirred. So, okay. So in the same breath, okay, he praised Russia's Secret Service. Hey, Secret Service is the evil, the symbol of evil, right? But he said they are good for recent killing of Ingushitas of leading Islamist militant here. Okay, Alexander Tikhomirov, okay, also known as Seb Boryk-Yatsky, ethnic Russian convert to Islam, said to have been an associate of Mr. Umarov. Means not only did he condemn the terrorist, but he also praised the Russian Secret Service, saying, hey, you did a good job. You know, you killed someone. Obviously, that also is a Russian. Converted. What's a converted, Miss Chen? Conversion. Okay. What is conversion? CONVERSION, or converted. This is a big word for a lot of people, especially religious conversion. What do you mean by religious conversion? Okay, or you know, someone who didn't have a religion is converted, 被人家带领相信的一个宗教 converted, right? Conversion. But also, for example, today, some of you, I don't know how many of you are vegetarians. Okay, if you're not, you better try to be a vegetarian, right? You know, some people will try to make you a vegetarian or convert you into a vegetarian. So why do you want to be a vegetarian nowadays? 为什么要吃素? So, for religious reason, right? What else? Oh, yeah, for environmental concern. Oh, I love to hug the trees. I love. Okay. I'm an ecologist. Okay, so that's another good reason. What else? Or for something you just, in your personal health, you just are, you know, your body react very negatively to meat. 有没有这样子人? Maybe there are. Okay. But you know the most important reason for Taiwanese to try to become vegetarian is because we have so many natural disasters. And only Tzu Ji will send you the 便当. Okay? So, you know, you might be stuck in a place that you're only going to receive vegetarian 便当 for 1 week. So better get used to it. I'm serious. Last time, Taipei had a flooding. When was that? 1998 or 2000? I don't know, 2000 something. And anyway, the subway station, my friend lived in Nanjing East Road. He said, you know, every day, Tzu Ji people waited the water and to knock the door, like, how many 便当 do you need? But I'm sorry, they only provide vegetarian dish. So you better get used to, huh? So that's conversion, converting. Or how many of you have seen the movie called Wedding Banquet by Li An? Xi Yan. Okay, so do you remember that movie at the end? No. Who was the actress playing the mother? Of course, too old for you to recognize. But anyway, she is very famous now in China, Gui Yalei. And she worried about her son being a gay, right? She said, well, maybe something wrong with him. But, if, she get to meet some good girl, she can be converted back from, a homosexual to a heterosexual. Thank you. So that's also conversion. Okay, so do you understand conversion? Can be religious, can be some kind of belief you have, okay, or can be, some of your daily life, okay, converted. Like I have been converted by my wife to accept dog now. Okay. I didn't like dog in the very beginning, but right now I think the dog we have is good pet. Okay, so like being converted. Okay. Zhang Lixing. Okay, so here, Umarov is the bigger target, right? His credential, his resume, including, hey, one time he served as the security minister. People, I'm sorry, I don't like people in the security community. I never trust those people. So he was the security minister when Chechnya was independent. Okay, from Russia, from 1996 to 1999. De facto. What do you mean by de facto? De facto? Okay, next time, okay, you would try to use this word in your conversation with your boyfriend. You say, I think right now we are de facto a couple. Okay. In reality, we look like a couple, even though officially we never declare that. So you're using Latin word. I think that will impress him. 用拉丁字 de facto. So what's the opposite of de facto? De facto, the opposite is the jury. D-E-J-U-R-E. The juror, de facto. In reality, legally. Okay, this is in reality. So, for example, maybe, you have people who are married legally, in name, they are married. But in reality, they are separated. That's what we call de facto. Okay, but the jury under the name. That's what people said about Taiwan as well. A lot of times, people will say Taiwan is a de facto independent country. In reality, we are independent, but in legally, in name, we cannot. Okay, so and then people will say our DPP government is trying to pursue the jury independence. Okay, which means you have international recognition, recognizing Taiwan as an independent nation. But in reality, we are. So we have de facto independence. Okay? So that's the word. So de facto independence from Russia at the time. Even though, what happened? Why we use the word de facto, Ms. Zhang? Chechnya from 1996 to 1999. Why we using de facto independence? Because nobody recognized it. How come we didn't do it? We didn't do it, but most of the Western countries would not recognize it. I mean, people would not try to offend Russia, right? So nobody recognized it, even though it is de facto independent. Okay, next one, Wang Siqi. Okay, here, whether or not Moscow responds to the bombing inadvertently. What does that mean? Means not intentional. Okay, just by accident, provoke. Okay. New unrest in Chechnya, okay, comes down in part to his ability to make good his claim to be in control. Okay, so maybe, okay, inadvertently means you accidentally or not purposely provoke new unrest because Moscow responds to the bombing. Means if Moscow said, "Hey, we have been bombed. We need to be, strong in our reaction, right?" So then you will somehow make Chechnya more unstable. So, but it also comes down to what? To Kadyrov's ability to make good his claim. He said, "Hey, I am in charge. I'm in control." But is it really that? Is really the case? I think that's the question being raised. And Kremlin's reluctance to admit otherwise. What does that mean? Reluctant to admit otherwise. Ms. Wang? What does Moscow do? Say, yeah, Kadyrov is not in charge. No, they cannot say that, even though they might think that he is not in charge. But they cannot admit that's the case. If that's the case, that the place is even worse. So they have to pretend that he is in charge. Okay, so that's why we have here reluctance to admit otherwise. It's almost like if you said this guy is not in charge, then there will be more unrest. If you said, you want to remove him, then people will say, the Kremlin doesn't have faith in this guy. So it's difficult. Okay, let's take a break here, and then we come back to finish this one, and we will try to move to the other one as well. Center, okay. But the men running the Kremlin arguably face an enemy much more elusive. What do we mean by elusive? What is elusive? Escaping? Or very difficult to get. Elusive can also be something that you are trying to get, but just very hard. Okay, I'll give you one example. Do you follow tennis at all? Tennis? Okay. Now, tennis, what's the 4 major opens? Australia, US, French, and Wimbledon of Great Britain, right? Okay, so those 4. Now, who has won all 4? For men, I'm sorry, I'm just asking men right now. Which one? Roger Federer. Okay, now, before last year, before 2009, he didn't have French Open. He didn't have French Open, right? Because Nadal is always there. So he won, and almost for a time, the French Open became elusive for Roger Federer. Very much like it was elusive for who else? P. Sampras. Right? P. Sampras won so many won Wimbledon. Right? He won in the U.S. Open. He won Australian, but never French Open. Not a corporate, the clay player. So he didn't. So French Open was elusive for P. Sampras. Now, Wimbledon was elusive for also another man player who won the other 3 but never Wimbledon. You never heard of him. This guy used to come from Czechoslovakia, called Ivan Lendl. Lendl. Okay. So anyway, so that's the word elusive. Okay. What else will be elusive? Like so and so winning all the different awards. Or all those great players in sports. They said baseball player. What would be something they won? Let's say a pitcher. He won the most valuable player. That's important. What else? Cy Young Award, right? What else? Rookie of the Year. The most improved player. A Gold Glove for a pitcher as well, but never the champion ring. Okay, so that's elusive. Okay, so for example, I was a Boston Red Sox fan. We've been deprived of that championship for 20 years for me, but for some people like 100 years almost, right? So that's what we call elusive. Something become very difficult to catch. Okay, so elusive. Then the rebels then pass. Okay, so that's what we call elusive. Okay, and consequence of Chechenization, consolidation of the Islamist status as the vanguard. What do you mean by vanguard? Ms. Chen, what is a vanguard? A guard with the name of van. Must be a Dutch. 荷兰人都是 Van Cleef, Van something, Vanderberg, Van something, right? No, but what is a vanguard? Leader. Okay, 先锋. Okay. So a vanguard. Sometimes people will say a trailblazer. Oh, trailblazer. Do you know trailblazer? 拓荒者. Okay. Or some kind of pathfinder, someone leading. Okay, leader of regional opposition to Moscow. So somehow, the more you try to localize, and the more you make the Islamist people, the status becoming the regional opposition to Moscow. Jane. Okay, now Jane. Everybody like Jane. In fact, Jane Doe. John Doe, Jane. No, sometimes they use another word. Jane, John Doe, Jane Doe. There's another word. Roe. Roe, Doe. 是什么？中山理事嘛， 但是我们张三李四没有分男女，他们有分John Doe, Jane Doe, Jane Roe. Okay, but Jane is a famous British magazine like Jane's Defense Weekly. So here I think it's a British one. Look at this one, right? Jane's Terrorism and Insurgency. What is the insurgency? Ms. Chen, what is the insurgent? Oh, just rebels, right? Insurgents are just like rebels. Okay, so Terrorism and Insurgency Center. Okay, you see this TRE, you know it's British. Do you like that center? TRE instead of TER, or this Chechenization, SA instead of ZA. I like the labor, LABOUR. It's a little bit like labor, 比较胖一点. Americans like that word labor. I don't like it. I like this one. Okay. Miss Huang Yixian. Can you see? Okay. Okay, continue.
The insurgency is particularly strong in
Ingushetia.
and
Dagestan.
making these territories credible locations, but equally he may be operating out of one of the quieter republics where the
Islamists
have a presence.
have a presence.
Such as
Bakaria.
which utterly points out.
Okay, so we're talking about Umarov being elusive. 中文怎么翻译？真好啊，这不好听，下落不明，真的不好吧？神龙见首不见尾，right? We don't know where he is. I'm sorry. Do you know this 神龙见首不见尾? You know the holy dragon. You can see his head, but not his tail. Okay. So we don't know where he is, right? People say he might be, he might be outside. You know, if he's not in Caucasus, you should not be surprised, right? But if he might be here. Credible location. What do we mean by credible? You know, here in Dagestan, maybe also in Ingushetia. Credible means if you guess that, it will also it's also believable because it's very strong. The rebel in those two republics are very strong. And then he said, maybe also operating in a quieter republic like Kabardino-Balkaria as well. So what he's saying is he can be in North Caucasus, right? In those regions, very active one, or he may be in the quieter republic, or maybe he's outside North Caucasus. 所以用神龙见首不见尾没错嘛 right? We don't know where he is. Where about anybody's guess. Okay? It's like some people disappear. We don't know where he is. Okay? So if it's outside North Caucasus, should not be surprised. Lin Yu, Yang Mingwen. Okay. The insurgency. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Russia expert. Anatol Levin. Okay, continue. Okay, continue. Okay, here, question here. People say some rebel can operate outside the country. That's possible. So if we have someone who is against the government right now, you can also operate outside Taiwan, right? You don't have to be in Taiwan. Okay. For example, I'm so upset. After this class, I'm going to have a doctoral candidate's dissertation outline defense with Zhongshan University. Okay. I tried to arrange a time, couldn't make it because so many other people involved. So they said, why don't we have a, what do we call? Teleconference. So I thought, wow, teleconference. So I asked him to arrange with Tsinghua University right after the class. I thought we were going to use a classroom so I can talk to. No, what they say is they're going to just use a cam from a computer. Yeah, almost like that. And I can only see part of what they said, there. And as long as they see my face there, that's good enough. So bad. But we know all the technology today, you can have remote control of activity. But they say if you don't, you have him within Russia, then still fine. Two ways, right? They said can be Muslim parts of Caucasus, but hey, you don't have to hide in the remote mountain. Like in Taiwan, if you are a criminal, most of the time people will say, people are hiding in the remote mountains. 跑到高山去了. No, you hide in Taipei City. Right? So many people, you hide in 101. 会不会比较好? I remember one criminal working in front of Taipei train station selling pearl tea, 珍珠奶茶, and was able to evade the police for so many years because he was blending into the crowd. Okay, so I think that's the question here. Say, people can also provide shelter. What do you mean by shelter? So, Ms. Yang, shelter. For example, if you are Taiwan's criminal, and where are you going to hide? You say, hey, I'm going to United States, Wyoming. Oh, so very few people there, and very few Asians there. Okay, I think your presence will be immediately recognized. So where are you going to hide? Maybe in Tokyo, maybe, in certain places. Obviously, maybe in Fujian would be better, if you speak Taiwanese, right? So that's, people can provide shelter, means provide cover for you. So it's not the terrain, but the people. What do you mean by terrain? Terrain is like high mountain or like Afghanistan, all the terrorists hiding in the mountains. 地形. Okay, so it's not the geography, but people. So here, I think this is very difficult to find those people because they can easily blend into the local. 杨嘉欣, 陈云清. Yeah. Okay, next. Okay, so here, Umarov, if he's inside Chechnya, he will face considerable risk because Kadyrov is very much in charge. What do we call this? He was given a lot of power by Kremlin. Miss Yang, what does that? Miss Chen, what does that mean? YYZY. YIYIZHIYI. Oh, what is that? Because he was given personal control over this. So he will restore law and order and make sure Moscow law over the territory. So he is almost like a running dog for Moscow. But we don't say running dog, we say walking dog. 为什么不是跑狗？英文叫 running dog， 中文叫走狗。翻译有没有问题？ Okay, but what is YIYIZHIYI? In Chinese history, we always have that. Yi zi yi. Okay. So YYZY. Okay. That's the policy of Moscow, right? Putting him in charge, and he said, "Okay, I'll make sure your law will be, over this territory." That's also good policy. Now, Ms. Chen, do you think it will work? 以夷制夷. Do we have an example of that? Even Japanese did that, right? In Manchu Guo. Do you know Manchu Guo? Manzhou Guo. Who was in charge? Oh, another yi. Oh, Pu yi. Pu yi, 以夷制夷. Oh, 以夷制夷用溥仪. Wow. 押韵哦. Okay, so that's what they did at least in Chechnya. Okay, Sabrina? Yeah, can you see? Investing a local Okay, local strongman with unity of command being instrumental suppressing long-running insurgency no longer pose a significant, credible threat. Okay, so here, what we investing. Okay, sometimes Moscow choose a leader, so you put a lot of resources behind this person, almost like investment, right? Saying I will allow you to run the security forces, giving you power. So investing in a local strongman with unity of command, which means he has a lot of power, suppressing the long-running insurgency, almost like at this time credible. Again, what do we mean by credible threat? So, for example, I know this is not a good example in Tsinghua University, right? If a girl in Tsinghua University or threaten her boyfriend with some kind of acid, that is very credible in Tsinghua, but not other places. Why?
Could that happen?
Yeah, it happened before. 对不起，清华的女学生曾经是用酸剥过人的所以是 credible You understand credible threat? Credible threat means people will believe this can happen. More likely. So credible threat, at least in Chechnya, it's not credible. The insurgents, people say, yeah, it might happen, but it's not going to do a big thing because of the control already being in place. 何绍军
Mr.
Kadyrov
denies accusations that his followers within Chechnya are behind many of the witnesses.
Behind many of the extrajudicial killings. Can you see? No? Do we have that? 在哪里？ control. And then plus? Okay. Judicial.
Judicial killings, abductions, and other crimes with witnesses there since last war, but
Campaigner.
Campaigners argue that Chechenization has taken a heavy toll on human rights.
Okay. He denies accusation behind the extrajudicial. What do you mean by extrajudicial? Extra means outside. Okay, so extrajudicial means what? Outside the judicial process. Of course, if you kill people, I'm sorry, only the government can kill people, right? Am I right? I mean, legally, Taiwan still has death penalty. So only the government can kill people. So any killing outside the government is extrajudicial. Okay? Not outlaw. Just saying something that is not within the judicial process. Because within the judicial process, our government can still kill people, which we don't like, but it still happens. It's legal. I mean, if our government decide to, to execute a criminal, we will accept. But we cannot do it ourselves. Can we do it?
Yes, we can, but it's
Well, then we will be executed maybe. Okay, so you understand extra. Okay, there is another word that use the extra. So this is a word you want to remember because it has a very long syllabus. Oh. What is this? Extraterritoriality.领事裁判权。就境外管辖权。Okay, outside your territory, right? Extraterritoriality. So extra is outside, okay? Not additional, okay? It's outside. So outside the judicial. Abductions. What is abduction? Abduction is kidnapping, okay? But abduction is more, okay, formal terms. So kidnapping and other crime witnessed there since the last war came. But campaigners argue that Chechenization taken a heavy toll on human rights. What do you mean by heavy toll? We just talk about Portland Trailblazers, okay? But they won yesterday. Despite all the injuries, the injury has taken a heavy toll on the team. 造成重大伤害 Okay, heavy toll. But I don't know why they won. Okay, so to what? To human rights. Okay, so Chechenization, hurting human rights. Because in order to give him power that he can actually disregard human rights, because he has been authorized by Moscow to do whatever he sees necessary to control the area. Okay. 林姓男，庄伟祥。Professor Levin. Continue.
A researcher at the London School of Economics says that the fact Mr. Kadyrov has more control of Chechnya than all of his
predecessors
is not a small achievement.
Okay, so here, going back to the paragraph you missed, limits to his power dependent as it is on the acquiescence. What do we mean by acquiescence? Like some of your parents obviously not happy with your boyfriend or girlfriend, but they acquiesce. Means like, what can I say? You know, it's your choice. So acquiesce. Say hi. Okay. Hi. That's acquiesce. Okay. Of other former rebels. Okay. So some of the rebels in Chechnya surrender, right? So they became the puppets of Moscow. But you still need their support, or they say, okay, yeah, you can have the power. Otherwise, it will be a big problem. So that's what we call acquiesce. Okay. So clearly, he does not have enough power to suppress militancy altogether. But then, very few places in the Muslim world can control militancy. Militancy means very much like tendency of violence. Okay. Now, sometimes we will say militancy is very important in a particular group to make it very powerful. We call the labor group. Okay. Labor union, if you're not militant enough, I'm sorry, the management will not listen, will not pay attention. Who cares about, people who just sit in there, right? You need to prevent people from working. We call the scat. 就是什么那种叫什么野猫不是工会说罢工，结果有人敢去帮那个公司工作，我们叫什么？中文叫什么？不是廖北啊，不一样，这叫什么？也不是叛徒啊。也算，如果是他是工会，但是 it's like one time I think we have the NBA referee decided to call it off, boycott， 好像有罢工嘛 ，NBA 的裁判罢工，那 NBA 只好找了一些替代，然后不太行。那 But if you choose to block these people from enter the arena, that will be militant. 就说你敢进来，不让他去吹，那这个球赛就没得比了。Right? Or you purposely allow them to blow a very good game, to 就是吹得很烂，也是一个办法。But this is what we call militancy. Militancy is important in some of the student protests, like Thai Red Shirt Army is very militant now, right? So militant, control militancy completely. And here, Maviva, the researcher of LSE, said more control than all his predecessor. What do you mean by predecessor? Mr. Zhuang, what do you mean by predecessor? Someone preceding you. So what is predecessor? The guy who has the office before you, predecessor. Okay, I'll give you, let me ask you to see whether you understand. Who is Ma Ying-jeou's predecessor? Chen Shui-bian. Who is Chen Shui-bian's predecessor? Okay, that's fine. So you understand predecessor, right? Successor is the one after. Predecessor, the one before. Okay. Wu Bingyou.
To say the Moscow bombings are proof that Chechenization has failed would be like arguing that the 2005 suicide attack on London's transport network are evidence of the failure of British government policy towards its Muslim community, Professor Levin argues.
Continue.
Does that show British policies has failed? He asks. It just shows how difficult an issue it is.
Okay, so here, if there is a bombing, you say, oh, your policy failed, right? Chechenization failed because it failed to win, or we call it to woo, W-O-O, to woo the Chechenian, Chechen people to support Moscow. So that's a proof the Chechenization failed. It's almost like to say the suicide attack on London transport network. That's back in 2005, in July, right? That is a failure of British government toward its Muslim community. Means, hey, Great Britain has a lot of Muslim. Why? Wait a second. Great Britain, why Muslim? You cannot just take everything for granted. Why? Why Great Britain has so many Muslims? Immigrants from where? Former colonies of where? I mean, if you ask, for example, I think from, Zimbabwe, from Kenya, or from, Swaziland, from southern part of Africa, they don't have a lot of Muslim in southern part. And from where? Iran? No, not Egypt. Okay, Pakistan. Okay, you have to remember British Commonwealth, right? Some of the British Commonwealth countries like Pakistan, like Malaysia, also some of the African communities like Ghana, Nigeria, some of them are Muslim, but mostly Pakistan. Okay, so there are a lot of Muslims in Great Britain. Of course, also some from the Middle East as well. It's almost like some people don't know. Some people only think America is the only country, that has black population. I wrote a preface for a book on Brazil. One interesting note was the Brazilian president met with Bush, and President Bush said, "Oh, you also have blacks in Brazil." Okay, I'm sorry. Bush is very ignorant, so Bush didn't know there are a lot of blacks also in Brazil, but also in Great Britain a lot, okay, from the former colonies. It's almost like also in France as well, from Northern Africa, from also the French Africa. Not a lot in Germany, but some. Germany has more Turkish, immigrants, workers. So here, British, if their policy toward Muslim fail, then you have a bomb. It's not, you cannot just equate those. So that's what he is saying. British policy is not fair. Just saying it's very difficult to deal with this kind of extremism, right? Okay, next one. 蔡坤达. Yeah. Okay. No, wait a second. On a recent visit.
On a recent visit to the Chechen capital,
Grozny.
the King's College academic made a Western journalist. He said, remarked on the impressive rebuilding work accomplished since the last war, and bemoaned the state of the
Afghan.
capital
Kabul.
by comparison.
Okay, continue.
Since the last Chechen War, the Kremlin has pumped money into the North Caucasus to buy the loyalty of local clans. Professor
Pavel
Pavel
Bayev.
of Oslo's International Peace Research Institute told BBC World Service.
Okay, so here, this is where you have a comparison. A Western journalist went to Chechnya and then compared that to Afghanistan, saying, "Wow, Russian put a lot of money into Chechnya. Look at all the infrastructure, rebuilding work, and then look at Afghanistan, the capital Kabul, just pale by comparison. So pump a lot of money into there to buy the loyalty of the local people." Now, every time you look at a peace research institute, must from Northern Europe, from Sweden or from Oslo, or from Norway. If you see something like strategic study, must be from the United States. 战略研究, okay? In Northern Europe, it's always peace studies, okay? Next one, Wang Yikai. Yeah. Buying.
Buying stability there is no longer possible because the price keeps going up. He said price is pricing and there's only that much money you can give away.
Continue.
As if the Russian public will regard the Moscow bombing as a federal government. He said, I think for them it is very certain awakening that the problem is not solved.
Okay, now, politicians always have a solution to problems. Throw in the money. Okay? If you spend the money, you might solve the problem. If you don't spend money, no chance at all. Okay? So, for example, if our government find out there are so many people not happy with our government, say, hey, don't pay tax. Right? Just using money to solve the problem. The same thing here. Russian put a lot of money there, but he said crisis is crisis, and there is a limit on how much you can give away. Especially if you have bombing that is considered a failure, then the problem is not solved. Wang Zheming. Yeah. Can you see? Instability. It comes back. Okay, continue. Chechenization. Okay, continue. Writ. Punitive. Okay, so here, if you have all the, earlier in the 1990s, very unstable, but in the 2000s, appear to be peaceful, and then suddenly you have the bombing, should we say that it was a failure? I think that's the question. Okay, so can we always say just one thing, one occurrence of bombing and say, hey, your policy failed, but it has been very stable for for many years. So here's all the declaration that you have achieved a victory that in that particular war, it comes back. Okay, first. Secondly, but still, if you look from the Moscow, Kremlin's perspective, you still have some success. Why? Achieve this objective of suppressing the insurgency means rebel activities being cut down. But more importantly, what? Restoring writ law, okay, Russian law, while dramatically reducing the punitive. What do you mean by punitive cost? The cost of punishing the rebels, like blood means people kill. Treasure means what? It means money. You have to spend money, right, using weapons and all that. And in terms of political capital, people are going to hate you. So all those have been reduced. So that's not really bad, okay? When you first expand it. So it's not that bad. You cannot use one incident, okay, to claim that it's totally lost. 陈玉君. Okay, here the editor said, made the policy possible was the emergence of a cleavage. What do we mean by cleavage? Okay, people with different views, okay, or differences. For example, we talk about social cleavages in a society. That means something in our society that would separate us. So, for example, in Taiwan, we heard about, ethnicity, sub-ethnicity, 族群, right? What else? We have heard about ideology, pro-unification, pro-independence. Have you heard of regionalism as well in Taiwan? North and South? 有吗？南北有没有差异？ You think so? How about, class? Do we have class differences? Higher class, lower class? Yeah? Do we have, one of your poster there, do we have people overweighted versus underweighted? No? We don't have. Do we have that kind of, discrimination? For example, America right now is having big problem, right? Some of the airlines say, hey, you're overweight, you buy 2 tickets. Okay, I don't think we have that. Do we have problem with people bald and people with hair? Okay, that's a cleavage. 秃头跟不秃头的. Okay, but I don't think that's a big problem. We have some. We have people, religion, which is a big issue in so many countries. But is it big in Taiwan? No, I don't think so. I don't think religion is big in, big. So cleavage, you understand. So division within the insurgency. So maybe some of the insurgents follow certain leader, follow certain brand of Islam. Some people don't. Okay, so that's the cleavage. Between secular nationalists. What do you mean by secular nationalist? Secular means non-religious, right? So nationalists, but hey, I don't care whether you are Islam or not. you are Muslim or not. It's not business. We want Chechen independence. So that's secular nationalists, right? And then the others are militant Islamists. So once you have this cleavage, it's easy, what do we call divide and conquer? No. 中文叫什么？不是分而治之，叫做远交近攻，是这样子吗？是不是叫远交近攻 ？Okay, but anyway, this is how you have this division. Okay, next one, 廖航伟。Socio-economic. Thus and thus. Ingushetia. Okay, so socio-economic and political causes. People always think they are something that is deep-rooted. You have to deal with it. The causes of region's instability, and you cannot just fix the surface, right? So to a certain extent, here you have, the instability being displaced to the rest of the Caucasus region, North Caucasus region. So not just in Chechnya, but also in the whole region. If you don't deal with that, what's the socio-economic reason? From the very beginning, I think we addressed that. What is it? Caucasus is a region with a lot of resources, right? But they are not being, compensate accordingly. Okay, I think that's the good word. Okay, they have not been compensated accordingly. Okay, so people are looking at all the rich people in Moscow, earning very high salary, and then the local people are getting paid so low, and then all the resources, the vegetable, the good food, and some of the oil are going to Moscow. Okay? So that's a big problem. So spreading to the rest of the region. Finally, we have 黄建元。有在吗？张淑珍。Next, final paragraph. Manifestation. Okay. Subway attack. Escalating violence. What do we mean by escalating? Ms. Zhang? You've been to use a lot of escalator, right? What is an escalator? In all the subway stations in Taipei, you have this escalator in all the department stores. I still remember the first escalator in Taipei appeared on the first department store, 第一百货公司. Wow! When I think I was a teenager or even younger, I said, wow, what exciting. We're going to try this escalator. And then my wife told me, my mother-in-law said she already used it in Shanghai before. Shanghai in the 1930s and 1940 already has escalator. Okay, but we started to have it in the 1960s, I think, late 60s. But escalator means 手扶梯，但是都是往什么？ I think it's going up, right? Oh, there's going down right now. But escalating means going up. Okay, so the violence becoming increasing violence within the region, dramatic evidence that current manifestation of the insurgency potential to trouble as the previous Chechen-centric. What do you mean by centric? Like geocentric, centric, ethnocentric. What is ethnocentric? You understand ethnicity? Ethnic groups, ethnicity. You understand this? Okay, ethnic group. Ethnocentric. 以族群为中心的 Okay, so 以 Chechen 为中心的 insurgency. Now it's more. Okay, the whole North Caucasus. So I'm still thinking whether you want to write a piece on this one or not. Why not?
What we will have to write?
Oh, okay. For example, first of all, you want your independence, but can you use this extremist measure to achieve your purpose? Okay, so that's one thing we can think about. The other thing is, why would Soviet Union or Russia keep a region that does not want to be part of you, and you do all the good things to buy their loyalty and fail? So why don't you just let it go? You don't want to write this one? Okay, let's try the next one to see which one it's easier for you to write. Okay.